Hey everybody, welcome back to the Calibrate Tools and DIY channel. I hope you guys are doing well. Guys, I've been traveling. I'm down in sunny South Florida right now, but it's not really sunny right now because it's winding down into the evening if you're on the West Coast and you're watching this. But I'll tell you, one thing I don't miss about this place, because I used to live in South Florida for about 10 years of my life, 10, maybe 11 years of my life. And the one thing I don't miss about South Florida is the humidity levels. You're constantly sweating all the time, especially if you're doing work. I'm down there helping out on a property, and it's some physical work. And I'm telling you, you know, you're gonna sweat doing physical work anyway, but you're gonna you're gonna rain sweat out here. Okay, it just takes like 2 minutes. You can just be standing still, and you're gonna be soaked. And that's what I don't like about this place. It's a beautiful place, got the beaches and all that. I think it's because the peninsula, the Florida peninsula, is surrounded by water on all sides, and that causes the humidity levels. You got the Atlantic Ocean on one side, and then you got the Gulf of Mexico. Or what is it now? The Gulf of America on on the other side, right? So that causes the humidity, and it's in the path of hurricanes and all that stuff. So weather's so unpredictable. It'll be sunny at 1 minute, and then next thing you know, 2 minutes later, it's raining. It's pouring rain, and that's what happened today. But anyway, that's enough of my life. Okay, so I went to Home Depot to get some supplies to continue the work I was doing, and I got to thinking. Right, I see all these items in Home Depot, and I'm asking myself, why is this here? You, you know, it's why does it have a giant skeleton? Why are they selling that stuff? Things like that, and it's not Halloween yet, right? Why are you selling Halloween products? And then it kind of made sense, right? These are actually home products, but they're geared towards certain occasions throughout the year, right? Certain holidays, certain things like that. Um, Christmas, I think they sell Christmas trees as well, right? So I said to myself, well, they don't have to do that. Why they're doing that? Why are they doing that? Well, it's actually a smart move for them to sell things like that. But when you dive deeper, you understand why there's a lot of companies, like I said on my last live, that are going bankrupt. That are filing Chapter 11. I think Party City was a company that went bankrupt as well, or filed Chapter 11, so they had to liquidate a lot of their stores. And I think Home Depot bought them up, and or at least bought up a lot of the assets from that. And Halloween supplies were one of their biggest assets. So Home Depot capitalized on that, and that's why they're selling that stuff, right? They're selling that stuff in their stores, and it just makes sense, Is and I say in the title, because why are they scared? Are they scared? Well, when you think about it, if you're a big company and you've reached the pinnacle of your existence in the world of business, it's almost like a boxer winning a title and then having to fight to keep that title, right? Otherwise, they're going to lose it, right? So it's I would say it's more pressure on someone at the top than at the bottom, right? Because you gotta figure out ways to stay there, and it's not always easy because there's always somebody coming up after you trying to take you down, versus like someone who's trying to, who's fighting to get to the top. The pressure is to fight to get to the top, right? Not to stay on the top. Um, and so they're constantly looking for new ways to expand their product line, test different things, and that takes a lot. That takes a lot. What are the core products of Home Depot anyway? Um, let's look at that. Okay, what's Home Depot's core products and services? Let's see here. I looked at a list of them, and just to try to understand. Okay, building materials, right? That's the core product of Home Depot: lumber, millwork, roofing, flooring. Then you have the hardware department: doors, windows, paint, plumbing supplies, electrical supplies, tools. That's my world right there. You got hand tools, power tools, and related accessories, appliances. They sell refrigerators, ovens, washing machines, lawn and garden, plants, tools, outdoor furniture. Then they have a decor department. They have items for interior design and decoration, like the lamps and the chandeliers and all that. So I doubt Home Depot started out with all that, right? I doubt they started out with like decor items and what else? Lawn and garden. I haven't done the research on all that, but they probably started out with maybe tools and power tools and lumber and stuff like that. And then over time, they added on these different departments that encompass what a home is, right? It's not just a structure; it's an environment. It's a place where you make memories and things like that. And they added all these different departments on and created what we know today as Home Depot. Then they have by the way, guys, I'm not getting paid by Home Depot to do this live. It's just my own curiosity as to why certain companies, how do they get there and why are they staying there, and their motivations behind doing what they do as far as grabbing up like bankrupt companies and stuff like that. Once you get to those levels, that's what you're gonna do. You're gonna, other companies that go bankrupt or don't make it, you're gonna pick up the scraps, right? You're gonna pick up the scraps and somehow incorporate it into your own, your ecosystem, and that's just how it works in a system of capitalism. Okay. What do they offer as far as services? Installation services, flooring, water heaters, and more. They do flooring. I didn't know Home Depot provided that service for you. Tool and equipment rental. That's I'm in the rental shop all the time at Home Depot. Matter of fact, down here in South Florida, and I was pretty disappointed because I went to 2 Home Depots out here looking for to see if they rented tools. One didn't rent tools. And they said, "Oh, the one down the street, wherever further down at another location, they rent tools." Went to both of them, and they do not rent tools. I was very disappointed because out here in Southern California, most Home Depots have a tool rental department. So if you're listening down here in South Florida, Home Depot people, you're not on top of your game. You're not on top of your game. What else? Professional contractor support and store support. Okay. Online services. They do have an online presence. Well, so does everybody else. And then they provide what's called a pro account, where you get exclusive benefits and solutions for your business or whatever. Yeah. So I don't know at what point Home Depot was losing market share because of other rivals like Lowe's and maybe Ace Hardware. But that's what when you're threatened that way, right, in the world of business, you have to make moves. You're constantly thinking of ways to expand your product line or increase your market share. And, a lot of these companies that go bankrupt, like as I spoke of in my last live, that's the opportunity for big companies like Home Depot and Lowe's to come in and increase their market share, right? And it's pretty interesting to see that happen. When I saw Party City go out of business, I said, man, what happened with Party City? Matter of fact, let's see. Let's do a little research on that if you bear with me. Why did they go out of business? On my last live, I spoke of different reasons why companies go bankrupt or file Chapter 11. And you'll be surprised. A lot of companies are profitable, but they're just not ran right? And that could run a company into the ground. I would think a company like Party City would be a profitable company. I don't think they were expanding too fast. That could be another reason. But let's look. Why did Party City go out of business? Let's see what it says here. Good old Google. Party City is closing all of its stores due to a combination of financial difficulties and increased competition. Okay. Once again, there's, Party City, when people think of party supplies and all that, they were on top of the game, right? They were the Home Depot of the party supply world. Okay, so what happened? Ultimately, they had financial difficulties, which ultimately led to the winding down of the company. They don't really talk about the specifics. Uh, how could I forget? One of the reasons these physical product based companies are facing challenges and losing market shares because you have people like Amazon, right? Online retailers that sock it to them, right? Sock it to their bottom line. And how do you fight against that except you get online yourself, right? But it's very hard to fight a behemoth like Amazon, considering the prices they offer on these online stores. And if you have overhead, you gotta you got buildings, because when you're in the like the business of, like, say, retail, right? You got physical stores. You're actually in the real estate business, along with whatever business that is. You're in the real estate business. It's almost, you guys ever, I never saw the movie, but I saw clips of it, of how McDonald's started, right? There was a movie where Michael Keaton played the guy who started McDonald's, and he was down on his luck, right? Trying to survive. He was a traveling salesman, okay? And he came, I guess he was hungry, and he saw, like, the people at this McDonald's little stand, wherever it was in California. And he just looked around and saw all these people just lining up and just getting their burgers and eating and all that stuff. And he went in there and he talked to the owners and kind of scoped out their operation. He said, this is something that, that could be worked on. And that's, he ended up stealing their systems. He learned all the systems and slapping his name on it and muscling them out of their own company, right? And that's how McDonald's got started. He even stole their name. Yeah, it was that cold. It was that cold. So that's the name of the game, guys. If you're not, it's a jungle out there. Let's see. So these online retailers are kind of like that guy that's stealing the money. They're not necessarily, like, Amazon's not stealing your name, but it's definitely stealing your market share, right? So either you're on Amazon, or you got your own, online outlet there, like Home Depot does, and you try to make it work that way. So yeah, okay, that's the problem. Said the Party City filed for bankruptcy in 2023, and despite emerging from the bankruptcy, really, it emerged. It ultimately filed again and began the process of closing all the stores. Party City saw a decline in sales and store traffic as consumers shifted to online shopping and other retailers. Yeah, that online shopping, that's, that's like, it was like a tsunami, just it's wiping out a lot of these companies. Because when you're, like I said, if you got a physical store, you're in the real estate business, right? And you got to pay those bills. You got overhead. Okay. Yeah. So that's what happened to Party City. Okay. So Home Depot, Party City, when it comes to holidays like Halloween and, Christmas or whatever else, Home Depot's capitalizing on that, right? On the parts of say, Party City that would make sense to it, right? Like the skeletons and putting the big skeleton in the front yard and all that, and grabbing that market share, right, over to Home Depot, which is, I think, smart move. So you're not isolated when you're a big company like Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever. You're constantly on the lookout for opportunities. You're constantly on the lookout for competition, and ways to stay on top and to survive. And that's how you last long. That's how you last long. That's how you last long. And so far, they've been doing a good job of it. Let's see here. So yeah. Anyway, guys, that's one of the reasons, right, why I would say you're always scared when you're on top. I remember hearing Mike Tyson say the same thing. Everybody sees Mike Tyson as this tough guy, and he was the man back then. I don't know so much about now. He's older and he's doing things like the Jake Paul fight and all that stuff. But back then, even on top of his game, he would tell you, look, he's scared all the time, right? And that's why he fought so hard. That's why he trained so hard. That's why he remained on top for such a long time. So you don't get cocky and thinking that, just because you reach this level that you're going to stay there. No, it takes work to stay there, right? It takes work to stay wherever you're at. It's almost like, okay, you get in tip-top shape, and now, once you get there, now you can just slack off. No, you can't slack off. You gotta put in even more work just to stay in tip-top shape, right? So that analogy goes across the board right there, right? So anyway, this is short live. Figured I'd come on. Can't stay on too long. But hopefully you got something out of this. Go to calibrate.com, check us out, support us there, check out the latest videos, and let's get handy out here. All right, take care.